Hey Refuge family, it's Holy Saturday, and today we're going to be reflecting on Jesus being in the tomb. So I'm going to read from Matthew chapter 27, verses 62 through 66. This is what Matthew records. The next day, that is, after the day of preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered before Pilate and said, "Sir, we remember how the impostor said while he was still alive, 'After 3 days I will rise.' Therefore, order the tomb to be made secure until the third day, lest his disciples go and steal him away and tell the people, 'He has risen from the dead.' And the last fraud will be worse than the first." Pilate said to them, "You have a guard of soldiers. Go, make it as secure as you can." So they went and made the tomb secure by sealing the stone and setting a guard. This story is crazy. The chief priests and Pharisees go before Pilate and they say, "Listen, when Jesus was still alive, he predicted that he was going to die and 3 days later rise from the dead. And we want to make sure that this Jesus movement thing is finished, that it's over. And so to make sure that his disciples don't steal the body and say, 'Oh, Jesus rose from the dead,' we'd like to go ahead and seal the tomb and put a guard out front. And then after 3 days, we'll all know that Jesus was lying. He doesn't come back from the dead because people don't come back from the dead." And Pilate says, "Yeah, that makes sense. Go ahead, take some people, take some guards, go ahead and seal the tomb." And so that's what the Pharisees and the chief priests do. They know that Jesus isn't coming back from the dead because they know that dead people stay dead. And so just to make sure that all this is over, that the Jesus movement doesn't take on new legs, that the disciples don't steal the body and then cook up some fanciful story, they go and seal the tomb. And so today on Holy Saturday, we reflect that Jesus was truly dead, and everyone expected him to stay dead. Even though it isn't in this passage, the disciples are huddled up in the upper room somewhere. They're scared. Jesus, their leader, has died. He's been crucified, which is a horrible death. In the Roman Empire was reserved only for criminals, and those criminals couldn't be Roman citizens. That's how horrific the death by crucifixion was. And so Jesus' disciples are scared. They know that Jesus has died. They don't have really any faith or any trust that Jesus is going to come back from the dead. And so they're wondering, what do they do? They're concerned for their own lives. And so that's where we sit in this passage. In this, everyone thinks Jesus is dead and Jesus is staying dead. So I want to give you a few things to reflect on today on Holy Saturday. The first is Jesus truly died. And we know this from both the Gospels, but we also reaffirm this in the Apostles' Creed, where we say he descended into hell or he descended to the dead. Jesus was truly dead. The implications of that are really important for us as Christians as we reflect. One of my favorite songs around Easter has this line: "He trampled death by death." It is in Jesus' death that our deaths have also been put to death. I know that's a lot of death in there, but it's only because Jesus died that we know we have eternal life. It was part of God's great plan for Jesus to die. And it is through Jesus' death that we gain new life. And so today on Holy Saturday, as we reflect on this in-between time between Good Friday when Jesus was crucified and Easter Sunday when Jesus rose from the dead, we reflect that it is only through Jesus' death that our death was put to death as well. We also should reflect on this truth that Jesus' apostles, his disciples, they thought Jesus was dead. He wasn't coming back. They didn't know what was going to happen now, but they knew that dead people stayed dead. And so when we think about the witness, what we can trust as reliable from their witness of faith, we know that If Jesus didn't raise from the dead, they wouldn't have gone through the Roman Empire proclaiming Jesus' death and resurrection, because they were afraid of being crucified themselves. The Jesus movement should have ended here, and if Jesus didn't raise from the dead, then this should have been it. His body's in the tomb. He's dead. That's what everyone thought. And I think the last thing that I would reflect on today as I'm thinking about this is that in terms of anticipation, we're not only anticipating Resurrection Sunday tomorrow, but we're also sitting in this time in the waiting and anticipating the age to come as well. The day when we will be resurrected, when we will have glorified bodies, when we will see God face to face. And so part of Holy Saturday is also our waiting and our longing for the true resurrection at the end of this age. And so, Refuge family, I just want to encourage you on this Holy Saturday to sit, reflect, meditate on Jesus' death, and look forward to his resurrection and the ultimate resurrection that will come.